he calls it the elephant and the rider. And he basically says the elephant is the emotional and unconscious part of ourselves, and the rider is the conscious, rational part of ourselves. And we have to understand that the elephant's going to go where the elephant wants to go. And our job as the rational rider is to try to guide that emotional elephant of ourselves. Freud famously called it, he had a similar analogy about a horse and a rider and those kinds of things. But the idea is there's this emotional unconscious part of us that is running the show by and large, and the rational part of us has to get in sync with that emotional part and lead it. Because if you're fighting against the elephant's going to go where it wants to go. But if you're figuring out how you can be more congruent, then you can make headway. And similarly, when you're trying to convince people or lead people, you have to understand they're probably coming from an emotional reaction first and rationality second. This is why fake news and false information work so well, is because we're emotional beings.
It also could be why, if you ever have a discussion about an event or some sort of financial matter of the lodge, you'll find that some members may have a reaction to it that is very passionate on one side. And you're trying to understand, like, where is this coming from? Like, why is it? Oh, is it just because he's a past master, or is it because he's old and he doesn't want to spend money? And that's not the case. In my situation, it was a past master that was trying to whisper wise counsel of like, hey, we got to watch what we spend. It was like, we're not spending, to the extreme. But the moral of the story was, when I was able to pull him aside and have a conversation to understand where he was coming from, he was part of the lodge when the lodge didn't have a lot of money, when it was struggling, and he doesn't want to see the lodge go back to that day. So he's kind of imparting that wisdom to me. And others may have taken it in an offense, where like, oh, this brother just doesn't want to spend anything. How can we get him out of the room when we have these kind of discussions or votes so that he's not a distraction? But I think it's important that as a leader, one of the things, to put this into principle here, is when you talked about understanding what the root causes are of people, leading them, meeting them on the level, all of the Masonic things that we're being taught. These are the experiences, I think, that kind of provide that sandbox learning experience for brothers that may not manage budgets at work, that you might be the one person in your household, when you say something, everybody agrees with it, and there's no question about your authority level. Or you're free to do whatever you want whenever you want to. You have complete autonomy because you're a single or an individual person, independent person. And when you get a chance to be in a group setting, you start to understand the dynamics and really the other things that are kind of that secret sauce of leadership.
That's right. And you're making a great point, that to convince that brother one way or the other, more facts and rationality wasn't going to change his mind, right? You needed to understand where it was coming from on the emotional level and speak to the elephant. So that's, the next step is, once we sort of understand that we as humans are mostly emotional, how do we set a compelling vision for people to follow? And the best way is to show people, not to tell them, as our creative writing instructors would often tell us.